y equals mx plus b?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what the m represents in this equation?
That represents the mode.
No, not necessarily. So when we're talking about an equation of line, there's two important
that's
things.
the rise over run. Is that?
Exactly, yeah. But it has a name. That's what it is.
Slope.
Exactly, rise over run. It's known as our slope. What about our b?
That's. Hold on, I remember this. That's our y-intercept?
Yes, it is. So that's where this line crosses the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the vertical axis. Okay? So if you guys want to just take down these notes in your notebooks real quick. And so this is the basic equation of a line. This should be in this format. It's called slope-intercept form. And so when we do that, we have to take a look at the slope of the line, because it'll tell you what direction this line is going. So for example, if we had a positive slope, we would have something that looks like this. We know that it's a positive slope because we read a graph from left to right. So if you can see from left to right, the line is moving upward, right? So our slope is positive. If I were to have a negative slope, what would my slope look like?
Negative. It'll go
In what
down.
direction? It would be going down, exactly. So it would be doing something like this. And this is negative. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay? If you want to just cut down those notes. And so going back to the rise over run, so the rise over run basically tells us the change in y over the change in x. So you can see back to this graph right here, as x is increasing, we can see that the y in this graph is increasing as well. So it's going up. So that's how we know that it's positive. But sometimes we're not always going to have these graphs to tell us about the slope, whether it's positive or negative. Sometimes they're just going to give us two coordinates. Do you remember with the coordinate, we have our x and we have our y. This is known as a coordinate. And these are basically points within the graph. So someone said, I give you these 2 points, 0, 2, and 3, 0. Tell me what the slope is. So in this case, it's a little tricky because you're like, well, I don't have enough information, right? You don't know what the line is, and they don't give you that format. But you can use these coordinates to your advantage and use the slope formula. So the slope formula is really simple. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And here we just simply substitute the x's and y's for the values that we have up here for our coordinates. So our y2 becomes 0 from here. And then our y1 is 2. Do it over x2, which is the 3, minus x1, which is our 0. And when you do the math, what would you get?
2.
Positive or negative?
Negative 2 over 3.
Exactly, because of this part right here. 0 minus 2, we get negative, so it's negative 2 over 3. This negative sign tells us that our slope is negative, so which one would it look like?
It'll go down.
It will look something like this, where it's going downward. Correct. Okay? Good. And so, other times we'll have the equation of the line, except it won't necessarily be in this format. If I gave you something like 2y plus 4x plus 5 is equal to 0, and asked you what is the slope, would you be able to tell me what the slope is just looking at this equation? Not necessarily, right? Because we don't have it in this format yet, we can't really get what the slope is. And so what we have to do is that we have to isolate y by itself so it can read something like y equals something else. Right now we have all of this stuff going on. And so how do we get this y by itself?
Don't you subtract 4 on both sides?
Exactly. So we start moving what's over here on that side of the equal sign, and we basically do what's opposite of what's going on inside to the y. So if I rewrite it, so you not only do the opposite side, but you start from what's furthest away from the y. So in this case, we have the 5.
Mm-hmm.
So what's opposite of plus 5?
Minus.
Minus 5, right? And then what you do to one side,
You do the other.
you gotta do to the other.
So it'll be 2y plus 4x
Plus 4x
equals
equals 0? Remember, I subtracted
Oh.
negative 5.
negative 5.
Exactly, so it's negative 5. Now I gotta subtract the 4x, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I subtract it from this side,
And the other side.
and then from this side, and then these cancel out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm left with 2y is equal to negative 4x minus 5. Good, am I done?
No.
No, because it's 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's being multiplied by the y. So how do you get rid of multiplication?
Divide it.
Yeah, exactly, you gotta divide. And when I do to one side,
Do the other.
and do to the other. So if I divide this up by 2, divide that up by 2. So we're left with y equals negative 4 over 2x minus
Negative 5 over 2.
negative 5 over 2. Good. Am I done?
No.
No? What do I need to do?
You're done.
Well, is it in this format? Is it in the
No.
slope-intercept format?
Yeah.
It is, right? And so you know the coefficient of x, in this case our m, is our slope. Just here. But are we done with this? Exactly, we can reduce it. By what? So if we have negative 2 over 4, or negative 4 over 2, we would divide by 2, right?
Something negative 2.
We do divide by 2 both to the numerator and the denominator.
Negative 2 over 1.
It becomes negative 2 over 1. And what does that reduce to?
Negative 1.
Now negative 1. So basically the denominator goes away, and we're just left with the numerator. So it's negative 2. Again, because it's negative, your graph will look something like this where it's going downward. Good work.